Hello New Game fans! Last video on the very fruitful Steam Game Festival, where you do still have a couple of days to check out these demos, so do go back and browse through all my coverage for some suggestions. This video rounds off the best of the rest of games that I've covered before but didn't quite make it in my first video, with some long anticipated titles in the mix as well. We do have to start off with Windjammers 2, the sequel to a beloved classic and being brought to life from Emu, who had a hand in the excellent Streets of Rage 4 from last year. While I have not played the original, I do know of people and communities that are absolutely in love with it, with tournaments and competitions still being held all these years later, so it certainly is of interest. I've talked about the very chill Luna's Fishing Garden before, since it's from developer Cold Wild Games, whom I have a connection with since they started their game dev journey around the time I started my YouTube channel, and have been covering their games ever since. Vibrant and beautiful, I do love fishing in games, and this game is all about that, with some management and base building elements as well. With the success that the Tony Hawk remaster from last year has had, I think that SkateBIRD should do quite well this year, since it's a skateboarding game where you control adorable birds. Super cute with some interesting bird-only mechanics, like flapping wings to get a little bit more air, this should be neat. I've been very interested in We Are The Caretakers ever since it was announced, since it's a self-styled Afro-futurist sci-fi squad management RPG where you do have to protect endangered species from an alien threat. Part Darkest Dungeon and part XCOM, but with a very cool aesthetic and character designs, this looks to be quite the complex strategy title, which is an interesting prospect. Some of you did recommend Undying as well, and I have to say, it's certainly an emotional journey that's worth a look. Yes, it's another zombie-themed entry where you play as a mother who has been bitten, so with her days numbered, it's up to her to pass down the necessary survival skills and knowledge to her son. Cool low poly art style as well, with the usual expected survival game elements like crafting and combat, but it does look well made and of interest. "100 Days Winemaking Simulator" is one of the best tycoon or management games in development, where you're running your own vineyard, having an amazing low poly art style that fits for this genre. Every step of the process, from growing grapes all the way to bottling and sales, is under your control, looking to be an amazing entry in the genre, and will especially be of interest if you love wines. I covered the horror title Lamentum quite a number of times, but we do get a new trailer which shows off even more of the creepy and horrifying aesthetic. Play as a desperate man searching for a cure for his wife, but the cure is supposed to lie at the heart of an ancient, eerie mansion in New England. Of course, it's terrifying and grotesque due to the genre, but does cite inspiration from Resident Evil, so perhaps this manor will become as iconic a location, but certainly of interest for fans of the genre.
My dearest Marina, do not mourn me when I am gone. I have lived a life in service of the beautiful creatures of this earth. A lifelong passion I hope I passed on to you.
I covered the beasts of Maravilla Island when talking about upcoming games like Pokemon Snap, and indeed, it impressed me with the look and premise, where you travel to a wondrous island to take photographs of the creatures and to fill up your grandfather's photo book from the past. Looks great, and it's nice to see more photography games being made.
Yet nobody can act. How can we say what we do not know? So, I leave you my camera and my journal. Photograph Maravilla's majesty and bring back something beautiful to share with the world.
The amazing looking pixel art adventure title, A Space for the Unbound, absolutely wowed me with the look, coming to us from an Indonesian developer and being set in rural Indonesia in the late 90s. It seems like quite the emotional tale, dealing with personal mental health issues, but with a touch of the supernatural as well, but for how great it looks, it gets a spot. The other adventure game that's high on my personal list is The Darkside Detective, A Fumble in the Dark, the direct sequel to The Darkside Detective from 2017, and if you have not played that, go check it out. It's set in the town of Twin Lakes, where strange and supernatural events occur, adding 6 new cases to solve in a very classic point-and-click adventure. I covered Rise Eterna in my video on upcoming tactics games, noting that it had a tentative window of 2020, but the developer was radio silent until earlier this year. So to see a playable demo and the early 2021 release window does give me some hope that it will come out. It's a hero-based tactics RPG with 14 unique characters, so certainly very Fire Emblem in nature, which does make me intrigued.
An unlikely hero emerges, armed with turrets and traps. Adventure into dungeons crawling with bloodthirsty trolls and monstrous creatures.
Dwerve showed up in my list of upcoming pixel art titles, and is a great looking action tower defense entry where you play as a dwarven tinkerer and have to protect your village from the forces of an evil witch queen. I love tower defense games, so new entries always get my attention, with it looking awesome, so I'm down for this. Peachleaf Pirates is a life and farming sim title where you wash ashore on a mysterious island and gradually become part of the local community. I love my farming sim games like Stardew Valley, so of course this got my attention, although I do think that pirates in games do often fit into a weird spot, since it's always wholesome fun while actual pirates do rob and murder. But putting that aside, it's a title of interest for sure. I mentioned Timberborn in my video on upcoming city building games, where instead of humans, you play as industrious beavers in the post-apocalypse. We do also get a new trailer for this game since we last saw it, covering more of the mechanics, including irrigation, destructible terrain, and horrifyingly, drought and death. But it looks good, and as a fan of the genre, I'm waiting for the early access release. Another awesome pixel art entry is Super Mombo Quest, a Metroidvania entry that seems to be focused on platforming first, which is a nice change from the usual combat-heavy entries in the genre. All the comments that I've seen from you folks is that it has been awesome, so no-brainer to check out if you have not. A Metroidvania entry that I covered in my video on upcoming games in the genre is Pronty Fishy Adventure, an underwater entry which looks of interest. This setting is tricky to get right, especially due to how movement feels, although we have had notable entries like Aquaria and even Beat Buddy, but not too many, which is why I think this is in a good spot. Also another new trailer for this, certainly check out the demo if you love the genre like me. Bits Adventures 2 featured front and center in my video on upcoming indie RPGs, and as a fan of old school JRPGs, of course it got my attention. I like the retro look, which I understand may not be for everyone, but it does have a nice variety of characters and classic RPG stuff like combination attacks, which makes me have faith in this developer. If you, like me, grew up with Final Fantasy games before 7, or even entries like Dragon Warrior and so on, this will certainly be of interest. Always love to show off new trailers for games, since the developers did take the effort to do so, and such is the case with the Souls-like action-adventure game Sands of Aura. You sail across a dying world buried in sand, exploring and seeking the source of the Night Plague, which is threatening humanity. It looks wonderful, although could perhaps use a little polish with the numbers popping up from enemies, but this demo will give you a feel for the game. One of the no-brainer picks is Echo Generation, a wonderful voxely entry from developer Coco Cucumber, who did previously make the dungeon-crawling brawler Riverbond. It's about a gang of kids investigating supernatural occurrences in their town, so again, some Stranger Things vibes, but this hides quite a classic turn-based RPG combat system, which I hope will have enough depth. I love retro action platformers, so a classic Vania looking title is Estalon Tears of the Earth, having a 3 protagonist setup where you cannot swap between them on the fly, instead having to change them out at checkpoints where the warrior, rogue and mage, the 3 pillars of party composition, adventure to save their village. Awesome look with a good pedigree, taking the #1 spot. To see more of the big picture, check out these awesome videos and I will see you after the jump.